The beginning of the end. The Yanti commander smirked, tightening his claws around the throats of the human captives. The screams echoed through the alien camp, a chilling reminder of the brutality they inflicted. Ambassador Theron watched helplessly, knowing all too well that this cruelty would ignite a fire in the human spirit that could never be extinguished. Human ingenuity, grit, and adaptability were about to be unleashed tenfold, overwhelming all alien races who stood in their path. As the Yanti laughed and jeered at the suffering humans, Theron felt a cold chill of doom creep down his spine. Galactic civilization now rested on the shoulders of the beaten yet unbroken humans. They had to unleash every ounce of their potential if life as they knew it was to survive this grave threat. The Yanti had no idea the fury they were about to unleash when they tortured these humans. Now, all of existence would tremble at what was coming next. General Hawk tapped fast on the console, turning Earth's satellites to high alert. Red dots marked the enemy ships heading for Earth. The Yukari had made a bad mistake targeting humanity's home, and Hawk would make them pay for it. He started a secure call. Ambassador Theron, the Yukari won't expect us to be ready like we are. Your knowledge of their plans is priceless. Theron's face appeared on screen, his eyes scanning a datapad. General, my people want peace, but I can't ignore this fight. Good, Hawk said with a nod. We use what we know. We use our planet as a fortress. Together, they looked over hologram maps, pointing to canyons, oceans, and mountains. Earth's defenses were marked with spots for traps and meetups. Every soldier would know their ground. Training camps appeared everywhere. The thought of an enslaved Earth drove relentless training. Humans scaled cliffs with rifles on their backs, dove into rivers fully geared, and crawled through thick bushes, memorizing every route and rock for cover. As the fleet neared, Hawk's voice boomed everywhere. Screens, radios, frequencies. Humans of Earth, we stand at the edge. Today we fight as one world, not nations. Our enemy thinks us weak, divided, easy prey. They're wrong. On streets, in homes, and in offices, determined eyes watched the screens, light faces. Hawk's words felt beyond her, a courage rippling, binding all in solemn unity. Lights dimmed in reverence, not fear. This moment would define their race. In a bunker, Theron felt the weight of their unity. He'd seen species yield to conquerors, but humans were different. The Yukari ships landed amid fire and smoke. Arrogant troops fanned out like hunters among sheep, but Earth had no sheep, only lions. A horn blew far off, and humanity answered from ruins, forests, and mountains. Bullets hailed from rooftops as snipers struck, and bombs detonated below, rocking the invaders. The Yukari clawed the land, betraying them. The maze of resistance met them, and humans were ready to fight, ready to die. Theron watched the chaos, seeing the truth. This was no survival battle. It was a declaration. Their unbreakable spirit refused to yield. Humanity's greatest weapon was themselves. United, fearless, unyielding. The Yukari met an enemy beyond calculation. Defenders bonded in resolve, turning their planet into a bulwark. That day, the Yukari learned no one fights humans and wins. The forest of death. The Yukari soldiers leaped from their ships into the foggy forest. They tripped on roots and slid on wet stones. The ground was unfamiliar under their feet. Pit traps swallowed soldiers, hidden spikes impaled them, and nets yanked others into the air, limbs flailing. Humans emerged from behind trees, mud covering their faces. They blended with the environment, holding pipes as blowguns firing toxin darts. They moved with purpose. The forest belonged to them. They knew where to walk, where to hide, where to trap. This was planned war, using the land itself as a weapon. Theron watched from far away, his hands working a recorder. He saw a woman pull a wire across a path. A soldier tripped and fell. The wire pulled tight, and hidden bombs exploded like thunder. The soldier cried out as dust filled the air. Theron's fingers paused as an old gray-haired man leaped from his porch with a shotgun. He shot down a scout, checked the pulse, then hurried back inside, ready to defend his home again. Enemy ships sputtered and crashed. Teenagers in basements hacked them. The kids just set their jaws and moved to the next target. Bodies piled around the broken ships. The aliens couldn't survive this gauntlet. Theron sent urgent messages. Humans turned their planet against us. Their unity and cunning earn respect. Stories will spread across the galaxy. Children outsmarted warriors. Soldiers pulled civilians from rubble, and people defended their homes. They had to rethink fighting humans. General Hawk moved through ruined streets. Suddenly, an energy blast seared his shoulder, knocking him down. His hand pressed the burnt wound. Breath came fast and hot. Soldiers rushed to help, but Hawk grunted and stood. "Forget me. Push forward," he bellowed. The troops obeyed. They engaged the enemy with new fury. They took back streets and buildings. Civilians cheered from basements. The aliens fell back, outplayed in this unfamiliar battleground. Hawk's defiance spread through the ranks. If he wouldn't yield to his wound, neither would they. This was their battle to win. They rallied behind him, an emblem of their iron will, no longer just defending, now taking back their home. One life, 1 inch, 1 soul at a time. The Yukari ships hovered above Earth like guns aimed down. Broken ships and trash floated around the planet, showing the fighting so far. Alien officers inside barked orders, keeping Earth locked down tight. They acted like Earth was already beaten. Down below, the cities burned and shattered from the blasts. Smoke rose from broken buildings, and blast craters scared the streets. It was a mess meant to crush people's spirits, but it only made the survivors fiercely defiant. Each blast just hardened their resolve. General Hawk led the human defiance. Now his burnt flesh struggled to breathe. Medics swarmed him, smearing salve on his wound and sliding him into a stasis pod. His voice went silent, but his commands echoed in the minds of his followers. The human fighters felt their leader's absence. They huddled in bunkers and makeshift rooms, eyes darting around nervously for someone to take charge. Whispers of worry spread. Then Theron stepped up. He moved through the human resistance ranks, his eyes blazing with determination like any human's. His voice carried an alien accent. "You lost your general, not the war. Let me help guide you," he said. He stood with the soldiers, hand on a map showing key spots. His offer met hesitation. Trusting any alien was hard, even an ally. But desperation pushed them. Over time, Theron's plans proved good. He led guerrilla attacks on the enemy. His knowledge of Yukari tactics helped win several fights. His presence on the front lines, firing human guns at the enemy, earned respect and trust. His biggest plan was bold and risky. The Yukari bombs kept falling, so Theron and some humans planned to turn their strength against them. "Capture a command ship," he told the team. Dirt and grit covered their faces. "We get intel, find weaknesses, break the blockade." The humans nodded, knowing the stakes. Gravity gone, the team flew through the trash between Earth and the fleet. They wore magnetic boots and carried grappling hooks. Red beams flashed around them. They neared the hulking Yukari command ship bristling with guns. One by one, they slipped in through a hole blasted in the hull. The corridors stretched quiet and dark, just their breath and the ship's hum. A Yukari soldier came around the corner, rifle up. A human lunged, twisting the rifle free. They took him down quick. Led by Theron, they moved on, silent. His mind raced with plans and tactics. The command center doors opened. The crew looked up. A quick, fierce fight followed. Human grit against alien discipline. Theron now stood at the helm, fingers flying over the controls. They had the command ship. They had the Yukari secrets. Humans combed through data, decrypting orders, mapping patrols. Now they could crack the blockade open. Theron took the captain's chair, using Yukari words to fool the fleet. He moved the Trojan horse in place and took out key ships with precision. On Earth, thrusters flared as reinforcements roared through the gap towards the surface. Morale surged. The extra supplies and men drove the humans to fight harder and smarter. Word of their success spread past the blockade across the galaxy. Stories grew of human grit beating their oppressors. Theron, now commanding human forces, showed why no one beats the humans. A galaxy united continued. Faces solemn, eyes fixed, the Yanni washed raw human tenacity against the Yukari. The Yanni, known for their neutrality, were moved by the resilience and unity displayed by the humans. They sent shipments to Earth on cloaked ships, crates of weapons and tech marked with their emblem. Resistance fighters gathered as crates opened, staring at sleek, pulsing rifles and drones that buzzed out, sensing with human tech. A soldier picked up a glowing blade, its edge humming with energy. In the briefing room, humans and Yanni volunteers clustered around Theron. He pointed at maps detailing the attack, confidence building with each word. They were advancing, not just fighting. Under the cover of night, they bypassed enemy lines using cloaking fields. Sentries stood unaware as shadows passed. The Yukari ground base bristled with cannons, but armed with Yanni gifts, humanity cut through. Faces streaked with grime, soldiers fired precisely. Cannons exploded, sentries fell, walls breached. Inside was chaos. Alarms blared, shouted commands went unheard. Soldiers rushed corridors, weapons lighting the dark. They disabled panels, cut wires, turned the base against its makers. One officer tried rallying troops, but a silent drone dropped from the ceiling, and the officer fell, his troops scattering. Room by room, human forces cleared with methodical thoroughness. They signaled silently, faces set with determination. They took control rooms until the base was silent. The victory sent shockwaves, not blasts, but a hush of realization. The news spread from ship to planet. Afterward, Theron and leaders surveyed freed cities. Faces once marked by fear now showed triumph. With unity, he told the masses, "We dismantle tyrants." Yukari ships retreated from Earth, now scattered. Their loss was an emblem across stars. It told that united courage could face any giant. That story would echo through time, inspiring those held down by greater forces. The fight declared that oppression can be overthrown. Broken ships floated around Earth like crushed cans. Down below, the invaders crouched behind battered walls. The hunters were now the hunted. The ground shook from the human attack. Word spread fast about Earth's stand. Starships cut through space, a mixed fleet coming to help. Ships from far away and forgotten worlds answered the call. Theron stood in the docking bay, saluting the volunteers flooding in. They wore all kinds of uniforms, their reasons for coming as varied as their clothes. This chaotic mix of aid fit into the human fight. A metal-armed Jovian slapped a human engineer on the back, their laughter echoing through the hangar. Medics from the Paids expertly tended the wounded. Theron directed it all like a conductor. The invader morale drained away. Whispers of mutiny slithered through their ranks. They pulled back into bunkers and shielded camps. Their control was a thin mask over defeat. "Keep pushing," Theron said, pointing at maps. His face was broadcast worldwide, the once alien face now a symbol of resistance. Humans and volunteers nodded with purpose. Inside the command chamber, the invaders shouted in anger. "Theron has betrayed our ways," one yelled, neck bulging. "He deals with lesser beings." But amid the uproar, the progressives stood firm. "No," a voice cut through clearly. "He shows us a better path." In the silent halls of power, the feeling was clear. Earth was no longer a silent planet. Its people could bend the stars. Dust filled the air as we walked to the Yukari stronghold. The aliens clung to false hope inside their final fortress. I heard footsteps, humans, and aliens marching together with purpose. Fighters from across the galaxy stood with us, each with unique strengths for this war. Theron walked in front, having fought enough to know the desperation of a losing enemy. Today, he expected the Yukari warlord's final desperate attack. We broke into groups, signaling silently. A human pointed left, showing a scaled Yanni where their cloaking could help most. A big Jovian smashed a gate with his metal arm. Nimble Terrans slipped through, disabling turrets with precise shots. Explosions roared as we got through the walls, concrete falling, making clear paths in the chaos. Humans shouted orders, aliens agreed, unified in their mission. We battled down twisting corridors, blasting doors, and cutting down desperate Yukari. They knew their reign was ending, brick by brick, to our unstoppable forces. Danger pulsed at the heart of the fortress. The warlord's final weapon could rip Earth apart. Theron's war wisdom had prepared for this moment. He nodded to hand-picked humans, specialists and veterans brave and skilled enough for this mission. Disable that weapon. Time bleeds away. Each second brings doomsday closer, he said with resolve. They dived into the stronghold. Gunfire echoed as elite guards protected the last hope. Sparks flew as human engineers pried open control panels, cutting wires with steady hands. Their focus was a surgeon's, knowing they saved their world. Theron issued calm commands through the communicator, turning the battle bit by bit. Yukari soldiers desperately threw themselves at us, defeat in their wide eyes. The core finally exposed a monstrous nest of alien technology promising annihilation. A sweat-drenched engineer reached into the cables and began dismantling the planet killer. Time crawled. Heartbeats and breaths marked each fateful second. Silence fell just before the countdown hit 0. Humans roared, voices of triumph echoing through the halls. The stronghold fell, lifeless defenders dropping weapons, hollow-eyed in defeat. Human soldiers dragged out the armored warlord. He couldn't face the ones he tried to destroy. Sweet victory carried a sober taste. The price was lost comrades and kin. Humans and allies stood among the rubble, mourning the fallen. The galaxy saw their unbroken strength. This small blue planet had shown courage and unity, whispering awe across the cosmos. Today we fought not just for Earth, but for all who cherish life. Remember why we never fight humans. They stand as one, and the stars watch in awe. Rebuilding and renewing. The pod opened with a hiss, steam rising up around Hawk as he lay inside. He blinked at the bright medbay lights above him, his chest heaving with breaths. Medics crowded him, checking and scanning. They felt relief seeing his eyes open. "You're back, General," one said, handing him a tablet. Headlines praised Earth standing against the Yukari. His rough fingers swiped through articles about human bravery and smarts. Earth rose from the ashes as a beacon of resistance. Theron stood in the White Room's corner, seeing Hawk awake, his eyes crinkling with pride. "They call Earth the Star's savior," Theron said, stepping closer. Hawk swung his legs over the pod and grunted, standing up. Titles mean nothing without action. They walked the busy streets together. Everywhere, rebuilding happened. Cranes lifted rubble. Builders hammered new structures. Alien and human designs meshed, making stronger buildings. Theron's communicator beeped, a message inviting him back to Yanni space. He'd be a hero, honored for bravery with humans. But watching a human child hand a tool to an alien worker, laughter between them, he knew he belonged on Earth. "I found purpose on Earth," Theron told his leaders, declining the invitation. He rolled up his sleeves and joined a team lifting girders. Human and alien hands worked together, improving what came before. This wasn't just restoring a world, it was fortifying it. Theron attended councils of generals, politicians, and aliens. They listened to his advice on defenses and alliances, weaving solidarity across worlds. His new liaison role took shape in a central Capitol building. Its walls housed human officials and alien ambassadors. Their talks echoed, solidifying Earth's galactic voice. The planet healed. Parks bloomed where craters once were, markets hummed with trade. Earth became a hub of unity. From a rooftop garden, Hawk and Theron looked out over shuttles crossing the sky. Their presence showed Earth's new place among the stars. "Look," Hawk said, "all these species working together." Theron nodded as the sun set behind the renewed skyline. "This world has taught them the galaxy unity," he said. The news flashed on screens across the stars. The Yukari warlords defeated, their stronghold fallen into human hands. Oppressed peoples on 100 worlds watched. They roared, finding a voice and the will to fight. On Ryle 6, the miners saw it too, their bodies stained with dust from the mines where the Verulians enslaved them. But like the humans, they could rebel. Word spread in whispers, miner to miner. They emerged, blinking at the sunlight they hadn't seen in months. Grabbing tools, they stood with new purpose. Their revolt had begun. Human advisors arrived soon after, stepping off shuttles with confidence. They brought knowledge of fighting back, like on Earth. Human tacticians sat with real Six leaders, studying crude holomaps, pinpointing choke points to sever supply lines. On Hydros, the amphibians watched too, their underwater cities occupied by the kettle for long enough, but Earth lit their spark. Human envoys came in pressure suits, joining hydro councils. Together, they planned an ocean insurgency using hydro secrets. It spread system to system. Humans offered aid, not boasts. Ships carried supplies, advisors, and hope. On Earth, construction rose from the ruins. Humans and aliens together. A new symbol took shape, the SDC headquarters, steel and glass, but also unity. Inside, voices of many worlds filled the council chamber. Each seat held a different face. At the center, Theron spoke clearly. "This coalition is our shield and statement, not from fear, but the desire to be free." Nods and sounds of agreement echoed. An icy world's envoy tapped a console, translating the words. "Earth's strategy will be our doctrine." Plans were made. Ships departed Earth, armed and ready. The SDC was a promise. No more horrors of invasion and oppression. On Earth's streets, people moved with purpose. Seeing liberation on giant vid screens, parents lifted children to see. Veterans trained others, their knowledge now most valuable. Earth's voice rang clearly at last, once asking for help, now offering aid. Unity was their path to freedom. First a whisper, now a roar. The Soul Accord. The chamber buzzed as representatives from hundreds of worlds took their seats. A domed ceiling projected stars like they were under an open sky. Voices chattered in many languages, the noise of a diverse galaxy. Theron stepped to the podium, thin and battle-hardened from fighting alongside humans. General Hawk joined him, his uniform marked by old conflicts. Streaks of silver touched Hawk's temples, but his eyes sharply watched the crowd. Silence fell as Theron raised a hand. "We stand at a new dawn," he began, his words translated for all. "The Soul Accord is more than a treaty. It's our promise to protect each other's freedom." Hawk stepped forward. "We've seen the darkness and lit it with unity," he said. "Earth nearly died, yet we rose as resistance. This accord vows no world stands alone." Heads nodded, agreeing. Screens displayed the accord's text, an alliance against oppression. The vote lit up affirmations, a rare unanimous council decision. The Soul Accord passed, bonding the stars in cooperation and peace. After the applause, Theron drifted in thought. He remembered doubting humanity, disbelieving their potential. His report, "Why We Never Fight the Humans," had been a turning point. He exchanged a nod with Hawk, understanding their long, difficult journey. Here they stood, seeing a golden age dawn. The once doubted human spirit now anchored a new order. Who would have thought? Theron murmured. Hawk chuckled, rough with age, but light with victory. "Anyone who truly knows humans," he replied. Delegates left, speaking of a promising future. The Soul Accord was more than words. It was Earth's legacy and the unbreakable human will, a flame lit on one small planet that now warmed the galaxy. A new era. The news of Earth's victory against the Eukarya spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On every planet, oppressed peoples took inspiration from the human triumph. They saw that unity and determination could topple even the mightiest oppressors. On the arid world of Catalan, the insectoid Ctheri began to organize a rebellion against their reptilian overlords. The Ctheri had long been subjugated, their vast underground cities serving as breeding grounds for the Catalan war machines. But now, whispers of freedom echoed through their tunnels. Inspired by the humans, they crafted weapons from mining tools and gathered in secret to plan their uprising. On the lush, jungle planet of Viridia, the winged Aviana watched the skies with renewed hope. For centuries, the Aviana had been forced to harvest their planet's abundant resources for the Virulians, their wings clipped to prevent escape. But now, seeing Earth's victory, they began to train in aerial combat, using their natural agility to outmaneuver their oppressors. Human advisors, skilled in guerrilla tactics, arrived to assist them, sharing knowledge and strategies. The Soul Accord brought together a coalition of diverse species, each contributing their unique strengths. Engineers from the methane-breathing Glyph transformed abandoned starships into powerful war vessels. The aquatic Selk built underwater bases, providing strategic advantages against surface-dwelling enemies. The telepathic Mindians coordinated attacks with unmatched precision, their mental abilities creating a seamless flow of information across the galaxy. On Earth, the rebuilding continued at a rapid pace. The SDC headquarters became a symbol of hope and unity, drawing diplomats and leaders from every corner of the galaxy. Inside its walls, decisions were made that would shape the future of countless worlds. The council chambers buzzed with the voices of representatives, each advocating for their people, each dedicated to the cause of freedom. Theron and Hawk became legends, their names synonymous with resistance and victory. Statues of them were erected in cities across Earth and beyond, their likenesses inspiring future generations to stand against tyranny. But they did not rest on their laurels. Both continued to work tirelessly, guiding the coalition and ensuring that the lessons of the past were not forgotten. In the shadow of the Eukarya's defeat, a new threat began to rise. A coalition of rogue elements from various defeated factions banded together, seeking revenge. They called themselves the Scourge, and their goal was simple: to destabilize the Soul Accord and reclaim their lost power. Led by a mysterious figure known only as the Shadow, the Scourge launched a series of surprise attacks on key coalition worlds. The Soul Accord responded swiftly. Theron and Hawk mobilized the combined forces of the coalition, launching a counteroffensive to root out the Scourge. Battles raged across the galaxy, each side determined to claim victory. The coalition's unity was tested, but their resolve never wavered. On the battlefield, humans fought alongside their alien allies, their bonds forged in the fires of conflict. They shared stories of their homelands, their cultures blending in a tapestry of shared experiences. Each victory was celebrated, each loss mourned, but through it all, the spirit of unity remained unbroken. The final battle. The Scourge's stronghold was located on a desolate moon at the edge of known space. It was a fortress built into the rocky landscape, heavily fortified and bristling with defenses. The Coalition's fleet gathered in orbit, ready to launch the final assault. Theron and Hawk stood on the bridge of the lead ship, their faces set with determination. "This is it," Hawk said, his voice steady. "The final push." Theron nodded. "We've come too far to fail now. Let's finish this." The order was given, and the fleet descended on the moon. Fighters swooped down, dodging anti-aircraft fire, while ground forces landed and began their advance. The Scourge fought back fiercely, their desperation fueling their attacks. But the Coalition pressed on, their unity giving them strength. Theron led a strike team into the heart of the stronghold. They moved through dark corridors, their steps echoing off the metal walls. The elite Scourge soldiers attacked from the shadows, but Theron's team cut them down with precision and skill. They reached the control room, where the Shadow awaited them. Theron, the shadow sneered, stepping forward. You've come to die. I've come to end this, Theron replied, drawing his weapon. The battle was fierce. Blades clashed, energy blasts seared the air, and the room shook with the force of their combat. Theron's team fought with everything they had, their movements a dance of deadly grace. The shadow was powerful, but Theron's determination was stronger.